We've seen Donald Trump very energetic, rallying in Pennsylvania, and he's been mentioning that while this is happening back in Washington, it looks like Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation will happen today.
Yes, in a few hours tonight, the Senate's expected to confirm her, which will be one of the fastest ever confirmations of a Supreme Court judge in history. And it means that she will be able to take her place before the election results may come to the Supreme Court for sorting out if there's any disputes going on, which people are tipping there will be.
Yeah, well, it seems like it. The Democrats haven't really put up a very effective fight, at least. This has been the subject of some of his rallies today in Pennsylvania. He's used this as fodder. He's also been using the fact that Joe Biden may have referred to him as George. What happened there?
Yeah. Oh, look, this is sort of typical of what's been going on with Joe Biden since the very beginning. I mean, since the primaries in January, he just has these brain fades where he trails off, loses his train of thought, or just gives straight out wrong information. I mean, at one point he said, I think 200 million people in America had died from COVID. And then on Sunday night, he was doing some sort of virtual fundraiser, and he started talking about Donald Trump, but he started talking about him as if he was George W. Bush. And he said George twice. And you could see his poor wife, Jill Biden, sitting next to him, just trying to mutter to him under her breath, Trump. And anyway, he caught himself in the end, but it's just, these problems pile on top of each other, and they are the reason that polls show that a majority of Americans, including Democrats, think that Joe Biden has some sort of senility problem, some sort of cognitive decline, which is not a great attribute to have when you're going into the presidential election. But he has a lot more problems as well. At the debate the other night, he made the mother of all gaffes, which was to say that he was going to phase out, transition out of, in other words, end the oil industry. He's also previously said several times he'd end fracking, even though he's tried to clean that up since. And I know from having been in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, those fracking states where, oil and gas is the big job maker, that none of them have any faith that Joe Biden would keep their jobs open. They're absolutely petrified that he will win. And you're seeing these enormous car rallies, truck rallies going on, sort of Trump caravans. Like on the weekend in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, there were about 2,000 vehicles in these caravans that have nothing to do with the campaign. They're just regular citizens turning out for Donald Trump. There was even one of those in New York City, would you believe, on the weekend down Fifth Avenue.
Wow. Yeah, I can't see the Chevy Eldorados being powered by wind anytime soon. Those folks in Pennsylvania would not be encouraging that whatsoever. We keep on saying, and I feel like we say this every 4 years, Miranda, this will be election like no other, but really it will be. It's not just because it's Trump v. Biden, it's because of the backdrop of coronavirus. There are around 80,000 new cases right across the United States every day. How's that affecting Donald Trump's vote, do you think?
Look, I think it's already baked in. They're in the polls, if you can believe them. I mean, they're pretty inaccurate because they're, especially during COVID times, they're just phone and internet. But it's saying that he's got a much lower seniors vote than he had in 2016. Joe Biden seems to have wrapped that up. Maybe that's to do with the coronavirus. In those battleground states, as I'm saying, people don't wear masks for the most part. They don't care about it. They don't think that it's a big deal. And, the mortality rate has plummeted. And as I keep on saying that, the coronavirus of today is a very much less lethal proposition than it was even a couple of months ago. And you saw that in Donald Trump and his family, that Donald Trump, particularly being 74 years old and overweight, seemed to get through it very quickly with these new treatments. So I think it's receded as a threat in most people's minds. And there's also a bit of cynicism about the fact that the Democrats and their allies in the media are really creating this great fear campaign in the last few days before the election about coronavirus numbers. But at the same time, the CDC is saying that flu numbers are down 95%. So you'd have to surmise that maybe they're conflating flu symptoms with COVID symptoms.